What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. In today's video we are checking out one of the latest e-bikes from ESKUTE called the Neptuno Plus. So there is also a regular Neptuno and a Neptuno Pro. The one that I have here today is basically in the middle, so the middle model of the Neptuno line. So as you can see for yourself, this is kind of like a mountain bike, but it's also an e-bike. So this is basically a mountain e-bike. The battery pack is located here in the frame. It does look quite good placed in there. I'm gonna see we have 27.5-inch wheels on the front and on the back, and these are 2.1 inches wide tires. The bike is also using Kenda tires, so good brand for those tires. As you can see here, we also have a front suspension, so of course if you go over uneven terrain, that front suspension will definitely help. We have a 250 watt motor that's located in the rear wheel, and the bike is stopped by mechanical disc brakes. With that being said, let me quickly show you the box and how the bike comes packed in the box and what you have to do to get this ready and on the road. Alright, so as you'd expect, this bike comes in a pretty big box. Of course, the bike itself is fairly big. Now for weight, this weighs 25 kilos, so definitely not the heaviest bike out there, but also not that light. So if you do have to carry this up the stairs, it is a fairly heavy bike. So the bike comes packed nicely in the box, but you do have to do a bit of an installation when you first take it out of the box. So you basically have to put the front wheel together, you have to put the front light together, the handlebar here together. Make sure that you tighten the screws underneath, don't be like me. You also have to put the rear light here together, the pedals and the kickstand. All together you're going to be done in about half an hour, and the overall installation process is pretty straightforward. Taking a quick look at the bike, well, the bike has a very attractive design. I have to say that this is one of the best looking mountain bikes that I got to try over the past year or so. So yes, it does look quite good. The battery pack is located in the frame here. Now, this is not the highest capacity battery pack that I've tried in an e-bike before, but I guess it's good enough for this kind of bike. Plus, I do love the fact that it's integrated in the frame here, but you can also remove it. So you don't necessarily have to charge the battery pack when it's in the bike. You can basically take it upstairs or wherever and charge the battery pack separately. Now, the manufacturer says that you're gonna get somewhere around 65 kilometers of range basically on one charge. In my experience, if you do use assistance level, I don't know, 4 or 5, so you don't put that much effort into pedaling, you're gonna get somewhere around 30 kilometers on one charge. But again, it really depends on the temperature, on the way that you ride, on how heavy you are, and so on. Personally, I will get about 30 kilometers on one charge. The bike is powered by a 250 watt motor that's located in the rear wheel here, and basically the bike comes out of the box compliant with all the EU regulations. So as it is out of the box, you can legally ride it on any road in the EU. Well, the roads that you can ride bikes on basically. So there is no throttle here. However, you could install a throttle if you wanted to, but as it comes out of the box, it is EU legal, I'm gonna say. Now, the 250 watt motor has decent power if you're riding on flat roads. So a road like this, the bike does do great. The top speed for the assistance, the motor assistance basically, is 25 kilometers an hour. So on flat roads like this, pedaling is actually done very nicely. You don't have to put that much effort into it. But if you are gonna go uphill, well, then you don't really have that much power anymore, and you do have to put a lot of effort into going up hills. So if you don't really like pedaling that much when you go up hills, maybe a bike like this is not for you. Alright, so let me quickly show you how the bike does if you're going uphill. So we are in the first gear and assistance level 5. We have a pretty steep hill right here. I'm gonna get to it in just a second. Not sure if you can actually see how steep this is on the camera, but it is pretty steep. So we'll start climbing. So the bike is helping a bit, but definitely you do have to put a lot of effort into pedaling. So it's not as easy as a bike that would have a 750 watt motor. With those, you don't really have to put that much effort in, but with this one, yes, you do have to put some effort into pedaling. If you don't like pedaling that much, maybe a 250 watt motor e-bike is not exactly for you. But the power delivery is decent for the power that we have whenever we are going uphill basically. On the back here we have a 7-gear Shimano shifter. Shifting gears up and down is done flawlessly. However, this is a pretty entry-level Shimano shifting system, I'm gonna say, but it does work well. On the left-hand side there we also have the kickstand. The kickstand is made out of a combination of plastic and metal, and yes, it does work quite well. Even if it's windy, the bike doesn't seem to fall from that kickstand. Now, you've probably noticed, and I did mention this earlier, we do have mechanical disc brakes on the back and on the front here. The braking power from those mechanical disc brakes, I think it's pretty appropriate for this kind of bike. I mean, if you're going with 25 kilometers an hour, the brakes that we have on this bike do work quite well. So decent stopping power. The brakes do make a bit of noise when you're braking, but overall not bad. So the main difference between these models, so as I mentioned earlier, this is the Neptuno Plus. So the main difference between this and the entry-level Neptuno bike is the fact that this one gets a torque sensor. So a torque sensor is much better to have than a speed sensor. The other model, which is also a bit cheaper, has a speed sensor, but with this one we do get a torque sensor. So basically, as soon as you push on that pedal, the bike will give you power, and it also gives you just enough power as you're basically asking it to give you, if that makes any sense. So I feel that having a torque sensor makes the bike feel more like a regular bike. Moving to the pedals are made of a combination of plastic and metal. They do work quite well. The seat here, well, there is some padding, but definitely not the most padding that I've seen on bike seats. So after you ride for about 45 minutes, an hour, you will need a bit of a break because your backside there will start to hurt. On the back here, you can also install a light, so you're gonna find that light in the box. On the front, we also have a headlight. This doesn't get crazy bright. It is decent enough if you're riding at night, but during the day you can barely see that light that we have on the front there. The suspension has about 2 inches of travel, I'm gonna say. It's a decent suspension overall. You can also adjust it a bit from the left and on the right hand sides here. Moving on to the handlebar is fairly wide. Now, whenever you're riding the bike, this is not very high. So you are kind of in that position where you have to put a bit of pressure on your wrists. Now, it's not as bad as other mountain bikes that I got to try in the past, but I kind of wish the handlebar would have been adjustable in height somehow. However, it is not. The grips here do seem to move a bit, so you do have to put some effort into moving them, but they do spin a little bit. We have the brake levers here, and even though the brake levers are made out of plastic, we do have some rubber on the front here. So basically, whenever you are braking, your hands grip better on them. We also have a little bell here, not the loudest bell out there. We have the power button and the assistance levels on the left hand side here, and then in the center we have the screen. Now, the screen doesn't really offer that much information. It is fairly small as well, and it's also difficult to see on a sunny day like today. So I'm not the biggest fan of this screen. You basically see your speed, you see the assistance level and how much battery you have. So not that much information displayed on the screen. And of course, on the right hand side here, we have the shifter. All right, let me take you on a quick ride just so you can see how the bike rides and basically how you use it. All right, so let me quickly show you how this works. So we basically have the power button right here. You hold this pressed for about 3 seconds and then the screen comes on. Once the screen is on, you can actually change assistance levels. We have 5 levels of assistance. So now we are in level 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5. We'll go with assistance level 4 for this quick test. Now the screen, you can't really see that well, mostly if it's sunny out. It is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So basically, as soon as you push on the pedal, the bike will start assisting you. So you'll hear the motor. So as soon as you push, you get power right away. So we're just gonna go on the road. Now, I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear this, but there is something inside the frame that does make a bit of a clanking noise whenever you are riding over bumps and stuff like that. On a flat road as we are riding now, there is really no noise. but as soon as you go over some bumps, there is a bit of noise happening inside the bike's frame. The shifter does work really good as well. Now we do have a bit of a hill around here. I'm not sure how well you can see that on the camera, but basically you do have to pedal, you have to put some effort in, otherwise the bike doesn't have enough power. So when you're going up hills, well, not that much power. So this easy to ride this bike. Let's do a brake test just so you can see how that works. We'll stop here for a bit, and I guess we can go straight, or actually let's go this way. So a bit of a brake test from about 25 kilometers an hour. So if you want, you can definitely lock those wheels. So the braking power is good enough for the power of this bike, I'm gonna say. Alright, so to quickly conclude this video, I do love the way this bike looks. I think that it looks better than most other e-bikes, mountain e-bikes that I got to try in the past. The build quality is also pretty good. I'm happy to see that they are using some brand name tires. The tires do work really well over regular roads and even unpaved roads. So if you do want to take this bike off-road, I guess you could. The torque sensor on it does work really well, so it makes the pedaling experience closer to a regular bike, I'm gonna say. So definitely get this model over the regular Neptuno model, so the Plus model. There is also the Pro model that's another 200 euros more expensive, but probably the middle one is the way to go. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.